About, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the first time we're doing this.
First time ever.
Yeah, so hopefully we can figure out any technical issues in the future, maybe, if we do this some more.
That'd be cool, man, yeah. As long as people want it, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I just thought, why not, eh? Why not get together? Obviously, this is the first time we've seen each other face to face properly, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously watched videos and you've probably seen my face online occasionally, but yeah, to actually be moving it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly, man. So it's what? It's 10 a.m. there?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you have for breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast.
Don't eat breakfast. How do you manage?
Cups of coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. You got my cup of tea.
Lots of coffee.
Oh, it's back to front. Calm your tits. So how's life?
Say again?
How's life?
Yeah, just this week's pretty hectic. Obviously, we've got this now. I'm desperately trying to get my gang together ready for SunCon on Saturday because we've got a weekend event.
Is that this Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's come around quick, hasn't it?
It's our third SunCon. It's become a yearly thing. It was just like let's see what happens. The first year, it went really well for a single day. Second year, Steve was like, well, let's push it to a weekend so that people can travel and stop if they want to.
Yeah.
And then it was just really good fun. And it was, I mean, obviously everybody played, everybody met each other. You know, the community's been kind of ticking over in the background for a couple of years beforehand. So it's just nice to put faces to names and, you know, yeah, it was really awesome. Everybody was really chill. Everybody just really wanted to kind of get involved and have a laugh. And then we got have a few beers with people afterwards, and then more Necromunda the next day. I mean, what's not to like, I guess.
It sounds awesome. I'm very jealous.
Oh man, you'd be more than welcome any year, dude. We've got
just a short
Peachy and
flight.
some of the painting phase coming this year. We've
got
nice, Albert Ian, I think's coming for his second year.
Oh really?
So yeah, no, it's really cool, man. It's just
awesome.
Just a bunch of nerds hanging out, basically.
Oh, congratulations! That sounds really, really cool. I was kind of toying with the idea of trying to do something similar here in Australia, but this is the first I've spoken about it, so I'm sort of just thinking
exclusive,
about
live exclusive. Yeah. Wow, look at that shit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's not as many people here, so it would certainly be a smaller affair, and obviously Australia is massive, so it's quite hard to get across. But I'd like to think there'd be some interest in doing a similar sort of like weekend campaign sort of thing, I suppose.
I think, yeah, I mean, I have to kind of take my hat off to Steve because he writes really cool, condensed, kind of weekend sized campaigns, and people just seem to love it. His praise is enough, really, because the venues where he lives, it's with people he know, he knows, so kind of he just takes care of all of that, and I literally just get to show up and walk around and look at people's cool minis, and no pressure for me, really.
And you're playing yourself as well, right? Or you just mainly organising?
Oh yeah, no, I've got my dance card marked with a few people already because first year I played Steve and I played like I think one other game because it was just kind of just so get round, try and speak to everyone. Second year I got a few games in. Won a game of Murder Brawl with my spider rig. Won against some really nasty Goliath purely by a war of attrition because my Neotex could just skirt and skirt and skirt and skirt because he had this unstoppable Forge Tyrant that was just it was like immune to pretty much everything. The one thing he negated to take into account was fire, so I just hand flamed him from a distance for like 10 rounds, and he was just like, should we just call it, mate? I'll let you have this one. I'm not going to say no. And then I got my ass kicked by Delac.
Yeah, that happens.
The Piscean Spectre is horrible.
Yeah, we don't use brutes in this campaign at the moment. I just feel it's a different kettle of fish. See what I did there? So for those of you that sorry, just quickly, just for those of you, the people that might watch this and play it back as well. Obviously, not everybody's going to know who you are, but you might as well just.
Oh no! I'm just a bloke with a cap on, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you, though? Who really are you?
I'm Chris. I'm a Necromunda player. I'm one half of Some City Radio, which is a Necromunda podcast that we started 4 years ago. It's been a long time now. And we just started it as something to do. We like enjoyed the hobby, found each other through the hobby online on Facebook, like most people do, and we just thought, well, should we give it a go? And there was a couple of podcasts out already, but it wasn't really massively well catered to. So we just thought, well, maybe there's space for us. And we went in with no real design other than kind of the setting. So it's a quasi in-universe radio station, which makes no thematic sense within the universe, but it was just like, we can try and homogenize this, or try and make people kind of what they like, or we can just do what we think's amusing to us, and hopefully people will respond to that. And people kind of have, and it's a constant surprise, I'll be honest, but I'm not complaining, because it's kind of become the nexus for a community, like a really loyal community, like awesome people. Just there's none of that kind of grognard neckbeard shit. We don't allow it. It's just fucking cut right out. if you're a gatekeeper, go away. I was saying on the Discord this morning, because we have a really active Discord community. There was a guy just joined, and I said, like, welcome to the Sump. Everyone's welcome, but the Sump will keep you permanently. Watch your footing. I says, we just don't have racists, sexists, homophobics, and cyclists. The last one's up for review, but we just don't have time for that shit. It's about just letting everyone come in. You could be casual, you've played once, you've never played, you're just interested, you just want to hang out with some people, and that's the ethos. Not that we ever sat down and said this is our ethos. It's just just come, be part of it if you want, and as long as you're cool and you want to show off your little toys and tell other people that you like their toys or whatever. There's none of this, I think this is what this should be. I'm not for prescribing how people enjoy the hobby. It's completely up to them. And I think Necromunda as a system is probably one of the most flexible for that. You can be competitive. I don't think it doesn't work for me, but if that's what you want to do, there's a place for that. You can be all about the rules, you can be all about the law, you can be all about the minis, you can, you know what I mean? Or you can just be hanging around with people that you have like a kinship with.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's me.
Yeah.
And I love kitbashing. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. So you also have a YouTube channel, obviously, which is mainly
a really small one. I'm not particularly. I never push it. I just kind of do what I want when I want, and that works for me. I think if I had a little bit more discipline, I could get some more regular content out, and that's what I'd like to do. But it's just fitting that in to everything else isn't always that straightforward. It's like I don't know how many videos I've got on there, but I've made at least 4 that I've just never put on and have just gone in the bin.
Oh, really?
Essentially. It's just the way I am, and that's I think when I'm working, like when I'm kit bashing, particularly, it's like a flow. It's not. I don't. I could be working for 4 hours on something and then go, nah. I don't like it. Start from scratch.
That's usually me.
Yeah. Or something else will just catch my eye. I'm a hobby butterfly. I'm not kind of like I do sometimes envy people who just sit, blitz through like a gang. They have a vision. They have everything. It's very instinctive for me, and it's just like whatever's floating my boat at that precise moment. So but no, Instagram's great for that because I can just show work in progresses. I can, do you know what I mean? Show finished stuff. and there's no kind of, you can follow kind of the like the what's the word? It escapes me. The process, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to call it. And I'm quite happy to share my mistakes on there. But YouTube's not really a format that adapts itself well to that. Like,
I don't know. We're doing it now.
hmm? Oh yeah, no, absolutely, winging a prayer, mate. Winging a prayer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, it's never perfect, but that's kind of what I like about it. You know, I'm actually less inclined to watch content if it's really perfect. I quite like the more rugged,
Oh no,
rough
man!
around the
As
edges
soon as I
stuff.
see like an Edison bulb in the background or a pink light shining up against the wall, I'm like, oh, here we go. These guys, like, and don't get me wrong, it looks really nice. It does. It looks beautiful, but it's like I know how difficult it is to put a video together, to edit the video, and to put it out. So I know that the production value behind those things are so big that it's almost like it becomes a business, like a production. And I'm glad that's out there, and I'm glad that there's all these beautiful and charismatic people out there finding a vehicle for themselves. And but yeah, give me a guy with his kind of miniature in his hand. Go, look at that.
Yeah.
That's me all day. Give me that anytime.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally.
yes, you love it. You actually love it.
Yeah.
And I think another kind of side effect of kind of the behemoth of Games Workshop is that people like you or I, we would kind of piggyback on it. We kind of latch ourselves on because we love the product or the system or whatever. And it allows us to share what we've been doing, and that's cool. That's awesome. But it also incites a certain kind of, and I'm gonna get fucking lambasted for this, but I've got to be honest, Damon, like a parasitic kind of almost industry around it. Like the negativity is fucking brilliant on social media. It's bread and butter. People make a living, but I question the how genuine that negativity is, or if it's sometimes manufactured. It's like we live in the 21st century. It's 2023. Are we really just discovering what corporations are? Well, people act like GW is the first ever corporate entity.
It's
And it's like, come the fuck on, just enjoy the fucking shit, or don't. I don't have time in my day to say I don't like this.
yeah.
I wouldn't walk up to somebody in the street and go, "Your t-shirt shit, mate. It's fucking shit." I just wouldn't.
You're very, very on point there. I think I totally agree with you there. But I mean, we all have space for negativity. I can be pretty negative
Oh
at
no,
times. But
I think expressing what you genuinely don't like is fucking important. But to
just for the sake of it,
yeah, or
Yeah.
just because it'll get you clicks. And
Yeah.
I'm not a click chaser.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, I hold nothing against people who do. I've spoken to some of these people, and I won't name names because I don't think that's cool of me. And they're fucking lovely. That's the thing. And they're so supportive. And it's like, so that's just a persona.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird. I don't understand it, I think, is the thing. I'm an old guy in a very fucking new kind of arena. And I just like cutting up little plastic things and sticking them back together in unusual shapes.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we play with toy soldiers. It's no
Indeed.
bigger or smaller than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny one. I obviously I work my day job. I'm pretty social and outgoing in my day job. I'm a barber. And lately I found myself being the sort of one of the questions I like to ask new clients is, have you got any hobbies? What do you get up to in your spare time, sort of thing. They usually sort of kind of quite reserved and hold back and don't really, even if they were into our hobby, they probably wouldn't admit it there and then, which is quite funny because I like kind of gauging it, and they tell me, oh yeah, I'm quite into golf, or I'm into I go on hiking and stuff like that. How about you? And I'm like, yeah, I play with little figurines and I play war games and stuff. And they're like, oh no way, I used to do that when I was a kid. And it's so funny. It opens up a can of worms with everybody. It's such an interesting one. But the amount of guys that are my age and your age and usually have kids and corporate jobs and whatever, they all do different things that are in this hobby. It's just very interesting.
Yeah, no, and it's always kind of, I think like your grandma would think it's all people in black metal t-shirts, greasy hair, misformed, socially inept. And Jesus Christ, I'm a bit through some city. I'm friends with, very kind of good looking and charismatic people like yourself. Naval officers. hey, no, naval officers, artisan craftsmen, corporate types, journalists. Everyone does this, and I think sometimes there's a section of people who've lived with this hobby for decades who maybe find that a little scary, that anyone can just play this and it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's important is that you both want to play the game in the same way, really, I think. And even then, you can talk about it with other people who want to play it differently. But
it's a funny
so
one.
many different people in this hobby that you just wouldn't guess, because unless you're wearing a logo or kind of you've dropped something that like only somebody who knows the game would know, and they'd be like, hang on a minute. Yeah,
it's like there needs to be a secret handshake, like in the Freemasons or something, That's what I feel like sometimes. I'm in the Freemasons, and when I'm open and tell people about my secret Freemason club, they're just like, oh shit, yeah, me too. It's great. The amount of clients I put on back into Warhammer and Necromunda and stuff since they were teenagers is quite a lot now, I think.
You're doing a service to the community, man.
That's it. I used to keep it quiet. I was so concerned about what people thought. I used to work in menswear for years, like high-end menswear, where everybody was too concerned about what they projected and how people thought about them and stuff. And since having a kid, obviously that all just goes out the window. You don't give a shit anymore. But like, it's quite interesting being the guy that works in a relatively sort of cool environment, being a massive nerd. Like I quite like just sort of shocking people and sort of being like, yeah, I do this, and being really open about it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I don't introduce myself. Hi, I'm Chris, and I play Necromunda.
But you're not.
But yeah, God, no. I mean, it's so kind of it's become such a part of my life, I guess. It's like, why hide it? It's nothing but positive. And I gave up attempting to be cool in my teens. My kids.
Jensen.
Yeah, of course.
Jensen's there. He always says hail all on everything. You probably know Jensen.
Hey.
He's in the chat. He's in the chat there. Hail Jensen. Sorry, what were you saying? We got distracted.
I'm just saying that, like, I've got no artifice. I've got no kind of persona. I don't try and be hip. I'm not fashionable. I'm not cool. So, yeah, and my kids remind me I'm a massive nerd. Oh, you're playing with your little men again. So it's like, yeah.
Are they enthusiastic or inquisitive about it at all? Or
they show interest occasionally. Like if I'm working on something, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, that's really," but then it's a TikTok generation, mate. They're just off. You know what I mean? It's like, see you later. But I find that like my youngest's really into crafts, so she likes making masks and things, and I can apply skills, that I've done into that. So it's like, occasionally I get to be cool dad who's got the right tool for that job or the right paint for that job.
Yeah.
Not very often, but I make the most of it when it comes around.
Yeah, I've tried really hard to not force anything interests wise onto my child. because they rebel against it. It's like I had this situation with Star Wars. Like my son just wasn't really feeling Star Wars for a number of years, and it kind of broke my heart. I was like, how could my son not be into Star Wars? And then it came to sort of one day when it was Father's Day a couple of years ago, and he was like, what do you want to do for Father's Day? And I'm like, well, to be honest, I'm just going to make a coffee and I'm going to watch Empire Strikes Back. But you don't have to watch it. You can go and chill. And then after the credits started rolling, he got closer and closer to the couch. And after about 10 minutes, he's there watching it with me. And that was it. He's hooked, So,
yeah,
yeah,
I think that's the thing. I think we discovered these things naturally. And I think that's important for kids to do as well. I mean, my son, he's not a kid anymore. He's 22 now. He's occasionally,
22?
Yeah.
You must have started young.
I'm 43, so
I thought you were going to say when you were 12 or something.
Oh no, Jesus Christ! No, I had him at 21. It was I was a kid having a kid. There's no two ways about it. But he showed an interest occasionally. But he's cooler than me. Basically, he's much cooler than me.
You're 43, really?
Likes his trainers and shit. And
you don't look a day older than, I don't know, 36. No, you look sort of mid-30s.
Oh well, I'll take it. This is good all day. So when we doing the next live,
all we're doing here is complimenting each other so far. It's good. We need a little bit of uplifting,
Yeah. So I guess to pull it back to hobby, I like Van Saar. I just essentially I got the game when it came out because I was wanting to spend time with my brother. Where we're getting to an age where yes, we can go out for a drink, but it's like it gets a bit tired when that's the only thing you've got to kind of to socialize. So, and then I saw the game was getting re-released. I thought, well, I'll buy it. We'll play it. I'll go over. We'll play it. We can have a beer in the house. We can have some food, and we can just play the game. And then it was like, oh, this is fun. This is really fun. And then I went over one day, and his gang was all different. I was like, what's all this then? He went, oh, I'm just kitbashing, converting.
Oh, right.
I was like, can you do something for me? And he's like, yeah. And he gave us one back. And I was like, I think I can do that. And then the Van Saar dropped, and they had the text about the Arachna rig. And in my head, I'd seen this mechanical spider mech that kind of just clanking through the gantries and scuttling. And I was like, oh my God. Well, the only image was like a profile of a head in some kind of carapace. There was no, I was like, well, if there isn't a mini, I'll make one. So I had no bits, like a bits box was just an unknown to me. I had the minis that I bought. So I started just scrolling through social media, through the Games Workshop website, looking for bits, and I found the Canoptic Wraith. So I picked up a couple of them cheap when I saw them going, like on Marketplace or eBay or something like that, and I just started, and that was it. I was hooked, just completely hooked.
So did you not play the original N95 at all then?
Yeah. That's kind of why I got the game, because it was. Remember we had that mad few months where we bought the box. A few of our friends all got a gang, and we just sat around the kitchen table playing on the old cardboard bulkhead terrain, and it was great. But it didn't last long. I mean, it wasn't like we got massively into campaigns. We never got I never got Outlanders. We just had a laugh. But then obviously, like I've said it before, I'm on record of saying beer, girls, all of those things kind of just came into our lives, and we all drifted off into that, I suppose. So yeah, when it came back, it was like, yeah, we enjoyed that. Maybe it'll be fun again. And then as the game expanded, I became more interested. And as I discovered, like I say, kitbashing, it was like, oh my God, there's this whole outlet for creativity that I didn't know existed. So, and I've just been hooked on that particularly ever since. I love the game. It's great. I like the lore. I like the setting. But for me, it's just I get to sit with something and make it entirely different to what it was.
Do you think that will progress further into perhaps doing a bit more sculpting and stuff? Would you like to learn how to sculpt and that, or
I mean,
3D sculpt at least?
I would love to learn. My friend James Ewan is a phenomenal sculptor with green stuff. I mean, just like it blows me away. And there's a massive hurdle of like taking the green stuff, getting basic forms, getting basic shapes, understanding kind of the different stages of it curing. So I can sculpt fur fairly competently, muscles okay. I've got like tricks to be able to do like belts, aprons, tabards, things like that. But
Yeah, cool.
there's still a massive gulf between me kind of taking a model and sculpting it to look entirely differently.
What about sculpting, like in digital format? Doing that sort of stuff. Can you do that, or would you be interested in doing that?
No, it's something that I would like, but again, I think it's another skill set entirely. And
Yeah,
there's something direct about taking the plastic, using styrene. It's like that. I get that instant connection with the material. It sounds really wanky, but I do. I could get lost for hours, man. It's like,
yeah.
and it's just so rewarding when something that you've been trying to do for hours just kind of clicks, and it's like, yes, that's it. That's what I saw in my head, and I've made that into something physical. I think the danger of learning to sculpt digitally is I'll just lose that, because it's like why I don't use third party stuff. It's not like a loyalty thing. I don't go to stores where that's an issue. I don't, it's not like Games Workshop will ring me up and say, Chris, you're using a lot of Mantic shit there. That's not cool. That's not a thing. So it's more, if I stick with GW, I can't just find an alternative. I can't just go on to Cults 3D, look through hundreds, thousands of different kind of third party things and find the bit. It makes my brain work in a certain way that I enjoy. It's like problem solving. I love getting a new kit, and because I get previews, I get the privilege of having them before other people. So I get to look at them and go, that. Now I know nobody can have done that because I'm one of a few hundred people who have this kit. So I get to
don't rub it
put
in,
a
mate.
stamp on it. Say again?
Don't rub it in.
I understand that's a privilege. It is, and I'm massively grateful for it. And it's purely, it's just luck. It's nothing else. I don't think it's anything else other than luck. Somebody listened to the podcast one time and enjoyed it and was like, let's give these guys a go. So
yeah.
And thankfully, they haven't complained that I tend to cut stuff up and put it together differently for the most part.
They haven't.
No, they don't care. They just want, I think, and it's not like you sit and have a relationship with these guys. They contact you, tell you, ask you if you'd be interested, and I'm not a rich guy. I couldn't afford the amount of stuff that I own.
Oh, especially the Forge World stuff,
Oh, mate, yeah. I just couldn't. So it's like, what you want to send it to me for free, let me do whatever I want with it, and just say, this is what I got. And, it's not hard to say I like it because I fucking love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a lie. It's not like an advert. If I don't like a sculpt, well, I'm a kitbasher. And sculpts are so subjective. You know what I mean? It's like, like the oh, sorry, I don't know if that's come up on your screen there, my notification. If I don't like a sculpt, then I change it. So the iron heads, I don't like the heads. And said I don't like the heads, I dropped the ball bearing in, boom, problem solved. And that was it for me,
Yeah,
but nobody contacts you and goes, that's not really what we went for. They're quite happy to see what you do with it, because I think as well it shows the community that the miniature isn't the promotional art. The miniature's yours, and you can do what you like with it. And I think that's cool. If I had to play with, you know, the whatever they sent me or whatever they released, and that was like there was a rigidity around it, it wouldn't enthuse me in any way. So yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, awesome. So I mean, obviously, like the future of, well, I guess the future of the entire hobby is the whole sort of 3D printing thing, and the long and short of it. I guess I don't know how long it's going to take till Games Workshop start doing it, but surely they have to at some point. I was listening to the latest painting phase with the guy from My Mini Factory.
yes.
Listen to that one. That was really interesting. Sort of hearing that sort of side of things, just how massive the whole third-party 3D printing and sculpting thing is, because like you said, I'm not really a huge part of that either, but I do recognize just how massive it is at the moment. So at some point I'd like to get involved with it, but I'm just not sure how just yet,
No, I mean, there's so many talented digital sculptors out there, and they can't all work for Games Workshop, and they don't want to all work for Games Workshop, and that's cool. That's I think Games Workshop first and foremost have their IP. That's their strength. It's brand recognition. Like I said before, what your grandma thinks. Your grandma, or whoever's grandma, and God bless if your grandma's gone, people, but they would have known what Warhammer was or Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And that's a penetration of the cultural psyche.
Yeah.
That most other brands probably won't ever get, because it's just been part of the British kind of counterculture up to mainstream and kind of and like mainline kind of everyone's, it's on every high street. Everybody knows somebody. It's fucking White Dwarfs are in WH Smith's in your local newsagents. It's ubiquitous across kind of everywhere. I mean, you get adverts for the part magazines, like Conquest, whatever it is. Adverts on just normal TV, like at peak times. So
really,
they sit in a very kind of privileged place, but they've earned it over decades of hard work and marketing. And have a great product. So I think you can see the effect of 3D printing on the product, insofar as, like, with rule books, sometimes you won't get pictures of a miniature that they haven't had time to maybe produce.
Yeah.
And I've seen this with third parties. They'll take an image, change a couple of things to prevent it being litigious or IP infringement, and they'll have that available for people to print, to download and print. These guys are quick, they take a basic form, they add the bits they want to it, and then they can just be printing those out and selling them, and cha-ching. So
exactly.
You must be snapping at the heels, but I don't think it's like I have a 3D printer. I have hardly printed anything off it. It's kind of an expensive paperweight, really, because I enjoy the plastic. I like working with the plastic.
Same, yeah.
People enjoy opening a product, building it, and painting it as well. Sometimes, like, you might order something online, but unless you are kind of gripped by the process of printing yourself, which it's a learning curve, and there's lots of kind of levels of print. So but some people fall into it, and they're printing titans, they're printing armies, and that's cool that it exists. Jeez, we live in the fucking future, man. You can literally take a 3D image and send it to a machine, and that machine will make it.
I still can't really get around my head around. I'm too old to understand all this. It's just to me, it's bananas. I mean, they're talking about 3D printing food at the moment, and houses and stuff, like boats and shit.
Yeah. So is it going to become
mental.
part of the industry as a whole? It's going to become part of everything,
Yeah.
literally every aspect of our life. So
I reckon you instead of doing IKEA flat packs, you're just going to be able to download. No, seriously, you're going to download a bed frame off, like the STL for a bed frame, and just print it off in your bedroom, and it will just be there assembled. You won't have to do any of the flat packing.
No, I mean, essentially, like Warhammer 40K got a lot wrong in the future, but STCs, Jesus Christ, we pretty much have them. We just don't have the central repository of knowledge. It's kind of scattered, but it's there. It's crazy.
But it's the calm before the storm, though, isn't it? It's before the machine crusade inevitably comes.
All right, yeah, we could have a whole nother discussion about AI, but
yeah. But it's an interesting time for the hobby in terms of technological advancements and AI and all that, and be interesting to see where it goes. But I want to be a part of it, but I'm not sure how. I'm still too old. I feel like I can get left behind.
It's here. It's going to become intrinsic to human life. It's just a parallel that I draw is when the Industrial Revolution happened, and factories just sprung up, like literally within months and years. These megalithic structures with kind of new, unspeakable machines, and we just have kids getting their arms ripped off because the technology was faster than the safety protocols, the guidelines, the understanding that we needed to make them safe. That balanced out. Laws were brought in to prevent certain practices and to protect people. And I think AI needs that more than that. And we need to catch up with that and understand that just because we can do something doesn't necessarily mean we should, kind of thing. Without taking time to go, what are the implications of this? And I'm not like, oh, the machines are going to take over and turn us into fucking paste. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I think there's certain kind of protections we need to afford people's creativity, people's expression, people's livelihoods.
Yeah,
we could just rant for hours about that.
Yeah, of course we could. Yeah, getting off track here, but that's fine. That's what we do. One question I did have for you was just obviously I'm a big fan of the podcast in general, and I've listened to it from day one. But I was this is an honest question I'm asking you here. It's just the space in between the episodes has got bigger and bigger, and I'm not concerned obviously, but I wanted to ask you and Steve perhaps what's the reasoning behind less episodes? Are you going to be is it just a different schedule now? Is the workload massive?
No, I think we never really had a schedule to start with, and we want to build the episodes around concepts, like new releases, but not always. There's a lot to talk about with Necromunda, and you fill those gaps beautifully with channels like yours that can just take the time to go back and pick over and pull apart. But also we like to have other people on, so that's arranging interviews. But I think fundamentally is we don't approach it as a business. It's another part of our hobby. It takes a huge amount of work. We don't. If we were just discussing the rules and giving our opinions, or looking at the models and giving our opinions, we could do more short form episodes, an hour a month, a couple of hours a month. But when we go in, and it's not unusual to drop a 5-hour episode.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now that takes a lot of writing because we're creating situations, scenarios entirely from scratch. There's no pull a template, you know what I mean? It's just all right. here's a stupid line, let's work from that, or an interesting idea, let's do that, let's try that. And then we're writing for like a plethora of characters who all have individual voices and parts within that mythos. But also, part of the reason I love this hobby is I've struggled massively with my mental health, and it
Yeah.
gives me an outlet. It's created a community like around the podcast that's so fucking supportive. We have like a well-being link on our Discord. We have
Yeah, I
a
saw that.
group specifically so that people can just come in and say, I am having the fucking worst time, and 10 people will be in to fucking lift them and talk
Yeah.
to them or just listen. And I won't kind of speak on Steve's behalf, but we've both had things to deal with, and some really fucking rough patches over the last few years. And rather than put out something that we aren't happy with or making ourselves work through that, it's like, you take that time, bud, to each
Yeah.
other at different times. Take that time, focus on your family, focus on yourself. And the community have always said, look, we're here. We're here. Don't worry. We love what you do for whatever
Yeah.
reason. Just fucking go. This isn't, we don't demand this of you. We appreciate that you do this for us. And it's again, to kind of sound wanky, it's fucking beautiful, mate.
No, I mean, do you feel like, because I know I do, I think I put undue pressure on myself to deliver, even though the niche within a niche within a niche that we are in is so kind of small on a grand scale of things. It's not 40K. It could be, that would be much bigger outreach, but the niche that is Necromunda is so small but so diehard in terms of its fans and stuff, that I do feel like I have this sort of pressure that I probably put on myself to get content out and keep doing it, because the minute I drop off, I'll have people screaming at me and saying, hey, why aren't you doing this thing? And it's almost like the sort of George R.R. Martin situation where he's writing these last 2 books in a massive, and everyone's like, but he's going to die before he finishes the books, and it's like,
Yep.
I can't ever put myself in that situation, because it'd be bloody awful. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's a funny one anyway.
I think, which is why I took my foot off the gas with YouTube. It was like, I don't just want my channel to be reviews, because it's cool doing review. I like it, and I get to tell you what I think. But I started it to kind of show how to do things, and to just talk about the hobby in general. Again, sorry about that message coming through.
No, really,
Yeah, to talk about it in general. But if it becomes a chore, and it can, like I say, putting a video together, even though I don't do anything particularly fancy, I do it all on my phone with free software. I taught myself to edit. The sound quality is variable because I don't really understand sound. I'm not a technical person, and it's like, I'll do it when I want to do it, and if people want to watch it, that's awesome. But I won't make promises to a community, and I won't hold myself to any kind of, it's like, I've had a few people contact me about commissions, and I've toyed with it, like really kind of, and I thought, I get so many hours a week. To me,
yeah,
I could make a few quid. I could maybe make a few quid. I don't know, but it's like, will it suck the joy out of the hobby for me? And I worry about that. It has to still be a hobby. Don't get me wrong. If somebody came along and said, here's a salary, you don't have to worry about anything. You can come into this studio. We'll give you all of this. But I don't have that. And I'm not chasing that.
Imagine if that was a job, though, professional kit basher.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure it is for somebody. Yeah.
Some people kind of have established almost that as a job. Like you got Pete the Wargamer.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant channel, puts out really kind of like really top quality content regularly, like on a weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is, monthly basis. And that's really cool, and I'm glad he can do that. But I haven't found a way to do that that fits in with my life yet, and I might not ever find that. So yeah, it's just if me and Steve are hurting ourselves to put something together, what are we doing it for? What's why? Just to appease, listeners, and yeah, it wouldn't feel right, and I would feel bad putting that on Steve, and I think Steve would feel bad putting that on me. And because we've both been quite honest about the pressures that we face in real life, not due to the hobby, the people that have reached out and got in touch with me and told me things that you probably wouldn't tell somebody you'd known for fucking 10 years, and said that in any way us just being frank and honest has helped. It's like, fuck it. We did not intend for any of that. People just, you know what I mean? It seems to connect. And yeah, we've got a structure, a loose structure in place, and after the last episode, we were like, right, let's have weekly meetings, and even if we don't do anything, we can just kind of catch up. And we got that in place, and then shit happens, and it's like, I'm not gonna say no, we need to keep to this meeting, and Steve wouldn't do that to me. So we are where we are. What is it? So if you're getting 5 hours of content an episode, that's equivalent to like 5 episodes for a lot of people.
And
if we put 4 episodes out a year, that's not bad if you think about it. Really, I would like to do more, and maybe we could cut it back a bit, but it just is what it is. And I think sometimes we feel, it's like you do feel guilty because you think, oh shit, we've got this community there that are waiting, but they always say, just fucking let it go, Chris. Just chill out, guys. The community's still there. The Discord's still absolutely heaving. The Facebook page is still quite active, really active. So it's like we might have been the idiots that sat together and recorded ourselves talking about this, but the community is a thing of its own. That we just said, here's a space, and people took to that space, and that space is still there. It's still active. They're still supportive. I talk daily with people from all over the world, so it's not just the episodes, it's not just the podcast. It's so much more than that it takes that pressure off a little bit.
But when's the next episode?
Yeah.
I'm joking. But when's the next episode out?
We're actually going to attempt a live episode at SunCon.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
That could go hugely wrong.
Yeah, but this is what it's all about.
We'll see. But because SunCon takes so long to put together, it's like, dude, focus on that. It's a fucking lot of work. He talks, well, we both kind of discuss, we get in touch with different companies who provide prizes and stuff. He writes whole scenarios. There's tables to put together. There's goodie bags, and that takes months and months of work. And so it's like, focus on that, because we want people who've paid good money, not just to come to the event, but to the fuel it takes, or the train fare it takes, and then for a hotel for the night. It's like, we want that weekend to be as good as it can be, and as good value for money as it can be. So after SunCon, we'll have an episode out, and then hopefully a Christmas episode within that time frame.
Yeah, very good. Looking forward to
chat. We've never had you on yet. You know what I mean? You've been doing this for a long time now, man.
I'd be a fan. I'd be fangirling if that was the case, but I would never ask you. So I'm too humble.
Oh no! I'm asking you directly.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
well,
I think
I would humbly
anyone who's
agree.
willing to spend an hour with us chatting about the
Absolutely,
stuff
man. I'd love to.
game
Yeah.
that we all seem to love is brilliant.
Yeah.
So
No, that'd be awesome. Well, you've had my son on there, I think.
yes,
Well,
yeah, youngest ever listener.
Yeah, I think so. That was cool. But yeah, I'd be honoured and humbled, of course.
Oh, man.
Don't know what to talk about, but
Well,
yeah,
we'll pick a topic. That's what we do. We'll just
yeah,
kind of go, right. Should we talk about campaigns? Shall we talk about such and such, And
yeah.
then we'll just go and end
Well,
up doing this and rambling for hours, and then Steve will sit with it and go, "Fuck me, stop going, stop going,
So-
Did
what's interesting when I'm listening to Some City Radio, because I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. Yours is one of the only podcasts I've ever really been properly engaged with. The only other one I would say that I do listen to a lot is Paint and Face, because they are just great. But obviously, in terms of Necromunda, I've got to be honest, yours is probably the only one I actually do avidly listen to and like really look forward to the next episode. But whenever I'm listening to it, I guess before I met you and spoke to you, I kind of had this idea that you were. I couldn't ever figure out if you were in the same room together or not. And I was always kind of playing whether you were actually there. Whereabouts are you exactly? Are you both in different locations? Or?
Nah, we did the podcast for 2 years before we actually met face to face.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you never actually played each other in the game or anything?
No, until SunCon, we never got a game together.
That's mad. That is mad. Yeah.
It's insane. I live in the northeast of England, so you'll know where that is. Steve lives in Derby, so it wasn't kind of a case of just I don't drive. Steve does, but he obviously he's got his life and responsibilities. So yeah, no, in person we've met twice.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That baffles me, that does, because now I live in Australia. Obviously, I'm from the UK originally. I'm from Cambridge, and I just now I live in Australia, which is such a huge place, and everything is so spaced apart. But and Britain's so small, you could easily travel between the two, I suppose, and do it. Here, everything's just so spaced out that there's no opportunity to really do anything like that in person, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
I remember
people
working with
weirdly still do
Australians
it.
when I was a waiter, and he's like, "You don't understand, Chris. I can't just go to the next town. It's like it's a fucking road trip. It's an ordeal. It can be days."
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people really get the idea until you come here and see how massive the country is. It's just insane. But yeah, little old England is just so small by comparison.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no real good excuse for it other than we make it work without that. It would be awesome to sit in a studio with them, to like sit in a room at his or a room at mine. But yeah.
Well, I think what's unusual about your podcast is that you've got a lot of chemistry that is really hard to do when you're not in the flesh next to somebody. I find, because when I was doing the podcast in Melbourne, having actual physical cues of somebody who's right next to you and like the energy of the room and stuff is really important. But somehow you manage to do that, but you're not even there with each other.
I think we just make each other laugh.
Yeah.
I think that's the top and bottom of it. We both really like the game. We have different opinions about stuff, but yeah, we make each other laugh. And he sends me something, and I'll go, "Yes, let's do that," or the other way around. And yeah, I mean, the amount of stuff that we record that never gets used because we've just literally gone off the rails and lost it, and that's not broadcastable. Is ridiculous. But yeah, we just enjoy it. I think it's for both of us. It's an escape from everything else. It's an opportunity to write stuff, to act stuff badly, to do really stupid voices, to Steve, the technical aspect of it, because he's really into his kind of sound engineering and finding those soundscapes and songs that work alongside what we're doing. Obviously, we have Dell, Steve's partner, who is just brilliant, and she just falls into these characters that me and Steve write this stuff and do these voices, and then Dell just comes in and everyone falls in love, and it's like fucking brilliant. You know what I mean? That was just like wow. So yeah, Becky Boom is like probably one of the listeners' favorite characters, and it's like let that be, let that happen. That's awesome. And they just kind of take on a life of their own. So it's just like, okay, this is happening in the lore, this is happening in the fluff, the fucking the narrative. What would happen if you dropped me and you in there? And that's infinitely amusing because this world, this cruel, dystopian, bleak hellscape with just a couple of twats from England dropped into it and going, right, there's no laws, so to speak. What should we do? And that's just a fun little playground to play in, and it makes the game even bigger. It's like, oh, not only do we get to move our little guys around the board, roll the dice, make noises if that's your thing. We also get to imagine ourselves within there. Well, what if I'm an agony uncle who uses nothing but double entendre, but is blissfully unaware that there's any sexual implication to. What if we were two sports commentators and one of them was a blatant rip-off of Mickey from Rocky, and he's called Niall Dorlock, and the other one's a meathead with a weird philosophical kind of perspective that just creeps out occasionally, and that's fun. That's fun, and if we can just keep doing that, I'll be happy.
Do you think you'll do more characters? Because you've got your favourites that are usually on there. Do you think you'll do more, or change some out, or anything? Or
we've talked about them, and we've actually, you know what I mean. We've gone so far as to maybe write little ideas, but people get so attached. It's crazy. Like, I never thought Klaus. I thought Klaus would be like a one and done.
Klaus is my favourite.
Oh, I love you, man. Thank you.
No, he really is my favourite.
I wrote him initially. He was like it was an agony aunt, camp German accent, like bad German accent, and I know
it's a great German accent.
And kind of some jokes that essentially lifted from Blackadder and League of Gentlemen, but through the Necromunda lens. And I thought, right, that was a segment. People will giggle, or they'll go, "What the is this?" And then people started asking for him, and it's like, "Oh, okay. How many notes can you make within kind of within a segment?" And it's like, well, have I? But then he became more than that to me. Like, people started basically turning him into an absolute fucking sexual reprobate, like online in the groups. And I was like, that's not Klaus.
Yeah.
Klaus, like, I find no humor in a lack of consent, none whatsoever. That doesn't amuse me in the slightest. So fuck that. Klaus is actually, he fucking does charity work for fucking street kids. Actually, he flies around at fucking Sanguinella and delivers fucking gifts. Fuck you. Klaus is a fucking good guy, and I like him very much. He's just also very in touch with his sexuality, and happens to use phrases that he doesn't really understand. They're quite as is like, he thinks he's expressing himself quite eloquently and seriously, I think. Because otherwise it is just a knob gag, and that has very limited life.
No, it makes me chuckle the most, I must say. Definitely my favourite spot. I love the war. I think the war room's probably the thing I usually look forward to the most on the show, if I'm honest.
I've got a good community member coming in for that. So be interested. That'd be actually, I think you'd be really fucking useful for that, dude, because you know your fucking your rules inside out. But
Yeah,
so we'll look at a
I
gang that
get
we
them
haven't
wrong
covered.
occasionally, but
You know, that's. I
it
think
is
we
it is
started
funny
off
though,
with
'cause-
kind of almost a like a permanent staff member for that, but that
yeah,
changed, you know, for whatever reason, and we got other people in, and it's just been fun to get different people's kind of perspectives. So, you know, like I'm not a win at all costs guy, and I'm not a math hammer guy. So when I'm looking through a new book, I'm seeing like a weapon that stands out or a, but essentially it's like, what can I build? That's
yeah,
what the
yeah.
real books are for me, and it's a framework. But some people open that book and it's like binary, zeros and ones, and they're just instantly going, that clashes with that. That would work with that. That stick
Yeah.
friends on it. Stick, you know, what
I
chems
think
can.
I think for me, like that's even though it's kind of it's a subconscious thing. Like I probably do gravitate straight. I go straight to the rules. Like when I get an Apocrypha Necromunda out, I don't even read the lore. I just go at the end and I go, okay, what's new in this one? You know, um, it's a weird one because I'm not necessarily. I don't really play that way, but I think it's just I like to know what the possibilities are. You know, it's more like what can we do with this game to make it even more massive. You know.
Yeah.
How many new lists can I? Honestly, I reckon I build about 10 lists on Yak Drive a day. Just making lists of random shit that's just funny, you know. Usually, it's not ever anything interesting. It's just funny, you know.
Yeah. And like some people just kind of sit there and then go, what? But if you put this with this, he's indestructible and he can cut through anything. And it's
Yeah,
like, where did you get that from? It's like, what's the matter with you? Like,
yeah,
Dan, who we've had on as a guest, and he's really active. I mean, like massively so. He lives close to Steve, so he's been really kind of a big part of getting SunCon ready and stuff. He's a
is that
legend.
Dan Beresford?
Sorry?
Is that Beresford?
Yes.
Yeah,
But that man's a monster. He's a monster. Like
yeah,
he's like, right, there's a forge tyrant. You can't do anything to it. You can't. You know what I mean? Unless you've got like a strength 9 weapon or something like that. It's like, yeah, I've got loads of fucking shit guys around him, but good luck pulling them down. And I love the fact that the game can be that as well, though. Like he doesn't come in as a like I played him, and the dude's a gent. Like he was so gracious and like, and I'm running away from this monster. But he's like being really cool, and you know, it's not a, I will crush you, and if I don't crush you, I'll cry. I don't mind
yeah.
losing as long as the guy I'm losing against is fucking cool and we can tell a cool story on the board. I don't care. But I love the fact that all these different ways of thinking can be applied to the game, and it just keeps it fresh.
I think that's probably what sets it apart from any other current GW game. You know, like that's probably the reason why I've been so all about it. You know, like there are other games that I really enjoy, but nothing that gives you this sort of scope to go further with it, I suppose, and go deeper from a narrative perspective and from a mechanics perspective, I suppose. You know.
Yeah, and like as far as narrative go, I'm definitely more player driven than prescribed. So with the Aranthian succession, I love some of the rules that have come in that, but the idea of play these scenarios, like be these people, that holds nothing for me because
Same.
and I'm glad it exists because I know there are lore junkies out there, and I know the people who will just play whatever comes along and they love it. But for me, it's like it's a bit. I sound really fucking kind of reductive. It's just too cold and prescriptive. It's like I want to tell my story with my gang that I've built.
And that's what I think that's the same for me as well, in that you've got this template that you can use as the sort of backbone of the lore, and then you can expand it and make of it what you will. And that's what you're doing with the with the podcast as well. And that's exactly what I do in my campaigns and whatnot too. It's like you build your own narrative, and that's the fun. That's the real fun stuff for me. I do find that I've got to be honest. If I look at the three Aranthian succession books, I find it a bit hard to get excited about the lore and stuff in it. Like, it's not that it's not good. I know it's good, but it's just it's not mine. It's not my own, you
Yeah,
know. So
yeah,
it's
no,
hard to.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. That for
Yeah,
me, and it's why I can't, like, I struggle to get enthused about um like heresy, because it's all happened. And yes, you
yeah.
can replay the battles and the outcome can be different, but that law's in stone. It's, you know what I mean? The Emperor dies, spoiler alert. You know,
What?
it's, yeah. So it's, yeah, it's like cool. You know, lovely models. I love the lore. I do. I really like the story. The the heresy itself. I think it's really interesting. And I love that there's characters within Necromunda and recognizable names, but for me, they're more archetypes.
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
Necromunda to be unchanging because I want the actions of the player to change the game, not the narrative that's delivered to us. Which is why I think, and I don't fucking know because the schedule one seems to be very out of whack. I think that's why the core rulebook dropped when it did, because obviously with the Arantian succession, there's a lot of end game vibes, like a lot of
Yeah, it's good. Are you concerned by that at all?
um I fluctuate. I fluctuate wildly. And where I am at the minute is I think they dropped the core rule book to say, like, if you look through the core rule book, it refers to Helmar, it refers to Khal Jericho, it refers to all these, again, these archetypes, these landmarks within the story that are eternal. Like, how
Mm.
old is fucking Khal Jericho now? How old,
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's ridiculous, but they're like Superman. They're forever what they are. There might be slight adjustments, but that as a core, they're unchanging. And I think that they put that. You know, I like to think, sorry, that they put that out to say this is Necromunda. The succession is a narrative campaign. It's an expansion. I think, and I hope, because I think there's a lot more to explore.
Well, there
I
is,
hope,
there is. But the question
yeah.
is, will there be? I think we know there is, and the community's kept it alive since '95. You know, there's absolutely no denying that. The community's kept it alive since '95 with loads of community content that's been awesome. You know, the game never stopped being played or being talked about, just like Blood Bowl. In fact, Blood Bowl even more so actually, um, until its re-release. You know, um, but I just really do wonder at the moment what's actually officially next. I suppose.
I mean, I guess I was kind of shocked that some say was done as an apocrypha. That was like,
Among other things.
mm.
Yeah.
And I think apocryphas are great. I love the fact that it's free expansions to the rules. Um, but when it's a setting, it's like, oh, did they look at it and think there's not enough legs in it to, you know, because I mean these development periods must be 5 years long from
Yeah.
concept to product and to product rollout. And you know, fair enough, because it is kind of an analog for the ash wastes. The vehicles provide the framework. You know, the environment is a framework. Like, you just change ash wastes to sump sea. So maybe they just couldn't find enough within that. Maybe they'll come back to it later. I
Mm.
don't know. But then, like, the next big one, like that we saw in that presentation that he did 5 6 years ago, was I've Celine,
Yeah.
and that's something that we'll have never seen before. You know, we've kind of had, like,
Well, I mean, we've kind of seen it in Kill Team in a way, like without the actual.
I mean, within the setting, as opposed to kind
Yeah.
of, yeah, it it becomes maybe more classic sci-fi, but then again, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
It's such a hard call to make. It, if they stop now, if this is the last book that they're releasing, and we just get a few more models to kind of give everybody a vehicle, and they stop now, I could play Necromunda for another 20 years without playing the same game twice.
100%, I agree. But what about Delac?
Poor fucking Delac, man. Considering they've got their finger on the pulse of everything, they just get left.
Yeah. No, it's a funny one. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But a trilogy of books, and then they've left the main house out. It's a strange one.
No, it is, and we got kind of a crew tacked on in an apocrypha. I don't understand the reasoning behind it either. But again, you know, you assume there's some method to this. You know, maybe there isn't. Maybe they're just winging it as much as we are playing it. You know, maybe it's like, well, let's try this. Maybe it's a case of they haven't been able to get minis together quick enough, and it's an admin thing. It's like a logistics. It's like, oh shit, we would have really liked to have Delac here, but that prototype's not working out. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard for us to. It's easy for us to just make assumptions when we don't run a massive business with so many different facets, and I think people take that for granted. Someone's got a question here. Delac, I feel, doesn't really fit the ash waste theme, in my opinion. I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, everybody deserves a vehicle, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or do they?
No,
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not complaining because I don't really play ash wastes.
No, and I've only played against Delac so far, and they're doing pretty fucking well, if I'm honest. They're a really good gang. They're really strong. They're really kind of, I think they've got some awesome units and some awesome weapons and skills.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
And I mean, what is suitable for ash wastes? It's like, it's the most inhospitable kind of environment you can imagine, where you can be alive for a brief period, but then people are out there riding in open top buggies, bare chested, and just shooting at each other. So it's like, yeah. And they've described one of, like, and I don't think we'll ever see this vehicle, Wonder Woman's invisible plane. That's perfect. All of my gang now have Wonder Woman's invisible plane.
Yeah, I saw that.
Took me fucking hours. Yeah, just all sat on flight stands, just sat with nothing. That's brilliant. Yeah, they've got that massive kind of like the Cthulhu seems to be their vibe. Cthulhu, octopus, that everything's tentacles and fucking and unknown greeblies. And the vehicle they describe is a massive kind of construct with many tentacle arms, but then with separate pods that fly off as like individual units that can fight, and that's within the Apocrypha. So it's like, well, I can't see them making something that enormous. So maybe they just haven't found what they want to do for Delac. I mean, I'm really impressed. Like, they've all, I mean, the Orlok quad was like, oh, it's a quad. It's a fairly kind of, it's an analog for our world. I recognize that, but that suits them. It's like, they're bikers. Do you know what I mean? They've been bikers without bikes for 30 years. Bless them. So now at least they've got some wheels.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, cool. Like, maybe we'll all get versions of buggies, and I would have been happy. And then what was next after the bikes?
Goliath Mauler.
The Mauler?
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, the Mauler and the Cutter came out kind of simultaneously, didn't they? It was like, well, Escher get fucking essentially rockets with seats on. That's cool as fuck. And I didn't expect that for them. I thought maybe we'd get like battle cats. But like these people who deal with exotic xenos and extract the DNA from them to make chems and create these chimeric hybrids. I was like, oh yeah, that's what we'll probably get for them. But no, they get Earthworm Jim rockets. And it's like, no, I'm here all day for that. It's like, I think somebody on the on the design team is a heavy metal fan, like the comic, and was just like Amazonian, future Amazonian warriors, warrior drug dealers on the back of these kind of rockets with a handlebar and a seat, and that's cool. I thought the Mauler was like, I was like, wow, okay, go for it. You know what I mean? I don't play Goliath. I've got no interest in Goliath. So it was like, I just looked at it and thought I could make a fucking Lawmaster out of that. It cost me 2 Maulers, but I'm never going to use a Mauler. So it was just a cool kit to play with. And the power ram on that Mauler is one of the best weapons in the game. Because I was like, my mate came over and he was like, oh, give me 2 seconds because there's a lot of noise outside.
What's happening, folks?
I think it's the window cleaner, so you're going to be treated to some whistling possibly in a second.
That's all right.
So the Mauler, and then the fucking chicken walkers. And I know loads of people were like, really? That's what Korog get? And I was like, of course that's what fucking Korog. I know, and that's fair, man. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. And like, I've been waiting for Van Sar's release for over a year now, and it was like, well, and people are going, I hope we get like
Grav
or something Grav based. And I was like, well, yeah, I do, but when everything else has been so kind of left of center, like just left field outside of the box, I was kind of hoping for something a bit more unique. And I made a hover car. I can do that. You can all do that. There's rules for that. So I'm really happy that we got jump mechs. And I know I'm not necessarily in the majority for that, but jump mechs, I don't even know, is it a vehicle? Is it a mount? Is it what the fuck? It's a man in a fucking exosuit or a woman in an exosuit that can flea jump around the waist. Sign me up. You know what I mean? So I've been really pleasantly surprised by the variety that they've managed to achieve. And I like the fact that if you don't want to use those, you don't have to. Or if you can find a way of representing those rules, but with different things, go for it.
Yeah.
It's that freedom of Necromunda. It's an expansive sandbox. Like I don't own an official Arachna rig. I made 3 different versions until I settled on the one that and I don't ever want another Arachna rig. Like, that's to me what an Arachna rig looks like.
Yeah.
So I never bought the Forge World one, and I didn't get sent one to review, so I don't own it. And
well, yours are better.
Oh well. No, but
they really are.
Yeah. When it came out, because I'd had such an image in my head, it just didn't look like what I wanted it to look like. But although the new Arachnica, the Ash Jumper, is based on the Arachna rig, I like it, and I think it looks different enough that I'm like, yeah, I think I can work with that. I really like the idea of it, and so I'll just run with it and see how it goes, and just hopefully it's got decent rules, basically.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost 1,000 credits.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting my hands on the book anyway, mainly for the Dramatis Personae. As you know, I'm doing a massive series of Dramatis Personae at the moment. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm in deep now. I'm making 3 videos a week on that, and then putting them on a schedule. So there's a huge long schedule. I've done quite a lot actually, but I think there's going to be about 100 by the time this book's done. So
that's a lot of time sitting recording.
It is, editing. Yeah. I mean, it's only what I'm only doing, like 6 to 8 minute videos.
As long as people want it, then you're just keep doing it. Just enjoy it. As long as you're enjoying it and they're enjoying it.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I think they've said there's 4 new ones in the new book, so there's another 4.
Well, I just hope that they don't mess up my alphabetical order. They'll have to go back and do the whole thing again otherwise, because I've got OCD, so I won't deal with that very well mentally.
Sorry if you picked up my dog's barking there, bud, when it comes on, but I live in a
that's all right, don't worry.
So
so what are you feeling?
Sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what their plans are. I guess it can't go indefinitely. Does it become like a mainline game? Because it's still
Mm.
specialist studios, as far as I'm aware. Um, will people just lose interest? Will they want to find another way of kind of engaging with their customer base? You know, but I guess as long as it's making money and people seem to be enjoying it, I don't know. It's a difficult one. I
Mm.
mean, the first game was around in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
The community kept it going. You know what I mean? That like Yak Tribe and other groups, they they literally kept it alive all that time. Do you guys think they will bring in new gangs? Um, what do you say?
I'm a bit skeptical at this point. I don't want to sound in any way negative, but just the third, this being definitely the third book of a series of 3 books, doesn't sort of bode well for a little while at least. I think if we do get anything, it will be I don't know. Well, do you reckon they'll do another series of books? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I think they placed themselves so they can, and I think
Hmm.
again, it's all fucking guesswork. We just get the product. You know what I mean? You know, we buy it, play it, muck around with it, and but I would imagine that because the core rule book is so defined now, that's definitive. They'll don't need to upgrade that again. That they can then just go on and do more series, and maybe narrative is the way they find an angle to explore that because there are only so many settings, I guess. Like
Yeah.
say other hives, off world, but then I think the beauty of Necromunda is it's micro focus. You know, it exists within this huge universe, but it's so kind of concentrated on its own politics and its own inhabitants. That, and I hear some people go, "I really want to like all Xenos involved." I don't.
No, I
I,
don't either.
it doesn't interest me. You know, don't give me orcs on Necromunda. As a
Yeah. Thank you.
scenario, maybe
Thank
an
you.
apocrypha.
Yeah.
It's just like that exists. There is Kill Team, there's 40k, there's you can do that as a homebrew, or like I say, as an apocrypha. Like the last apocrypha holds no interest to me. None.
Mm.
Massive,
I know.
like
Yeah.
Harvey sized fans. None. But there are people out there who will do that and enjoy that. And cool. I
Mm.
don't think it's a like I know a lot of people saying, oh, it's just like, oh, they want you to fucking buy an army's worth. It's like I think most Necromunda players probably have an army's worth, if they're honest. But this isn't a cynical fucking push to get you to buy miniatures because they're just
Yeah.
doing it again. They would just do or just release more units for gangs. If they want your money, they know how to get your money. You know what I mean? It's not. It's this isn't
Yeah.
out like an unknown alchemy. They've got this fucking formula down pat.
I think probably
Is
the
there
most
room for more
realistic.
gangs? Yes. Will they do more gangs? I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I think the probably the most realistic likelihood at the moment, at least, is White Dwarf articles and Apocrypha doing it like that. Like you had with Bad Zone Enforcers, for example, like you had with the muties in the latest Apocrypha, or the one before that. I think that'll probably continue, and that could provide us with stuff. But whether they'll actually be releasing fully fledged gangs and stuff, I'm not sure. There probably could be an argument for a new box set at some point, but
If you look at the that kind of big image with all the blacked out books and boxes they did,
mm,
I mean Steve kind of blew it up and had a look at it. And you've got the box set, which we assume was Ash Wastes, the 3 books, which is the Aranthian Succession. But then if you look further back, there's other boxes, and it looks like
mm,
shadows of other books. Whether that's just a mirroring of the image, I don't know. But again, I think it comes down to engagement. If people keep buying this and keep wanting to play it and keep asking for it, I
mm,
don't see why they wouldn't, unless it's just impossible practically and logistically with all of the other systems they're juggling. You know, 40k is their baby, 40k is their money maker. It's their bread and butter. Um, it's always going to take precedent over the other systems. Old World is coming in. Old World's going to fill the gap that Horus Heresy used to live in. Horus Heresy's become a mainline game now. It's front and center. All of that is costing them millions in production. So they need to be getting, returns on that for their shareholders. That, let's not cut about that. That's how corporations work. And then they've got irons in other fires. So Henry Cavill and his deal, his headline and executive producer of the Amazon stuff.
That's cool.
I think there's so much there. It's how big does the company grow, the core company grow to manage all of that? I have no idea. You know what I mean? I'm just a bloke in the northeast of England who likes moving little plastic figures around the table, and yeah, we can wish list, speculate, be conspiratorial about it all we want. Only they know.
Yeah,
that's the top and bottom of it. There's obviously rat skins seem to have been just they exist in like some of the lore, but then even in the latest core rule book, the rat skin map is now a Dome Runner map.
Really?
I just wonder if they're quietly lying that down. In the core rule book, yeah. If you look, it's just the name's it's just been changed.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah. It was one of the kind of Steve pointed out to me. He was like, "It's Dome Runner map. That used to be rat." So it was like, "Oh, shit, yeah." Escher Barbie dolls.
They're already Barbie dolls to me.
Huh?
They're already Barbie
dolls. Yeah. I would love to see some Hot Toys, to be fair, because they just do some awesome stuff. Or what is it? Joy Toy. Wow, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't collect action figures, but to see them would be pretty amazing. Who else? Spirers, and I know it's going to draw bile with you and a lot of people because they have memories of these horrifically overpowered gangs that would just destroy everything in the path.
Yeah.
But I think we have that now. I think Goliath, I think Corpse Grinder, I think Cawdor, all played the right way, are those things. They're just dominating like powerhouses that can just mow down most stuff. And that comes down to the individual. I'd like to see Spirers because I never got to play them first time round, and I'd love to see a new iteration of them, like how modern sculpting handles that, how they fit into this. The law's changed. It's not the same. It's not as simplistic anymore. It's become more enriched and fleshed out. Like Van Saar have a demigod AI that they're keeping secret. Where's that going? They were going to fire the top of the spire into space, but it didn't work. But did it not work? Did it not work? They're not just technological geniuses. They're from the fucking past. When the golden age of technology or the dark age of technology, depending on your viewpoint, they are from then. You know what I mean? They originate from there. Their knowledge comes from that's fucking you don't even have to tell me. You've just given me that. And now my mind's going, oh, right. So AI could be holographic. Holograms contain all of the information in one part of every part. If you could download a part of that hologram and put that into a cerebral cortex or a cogitator embedded into that, does that AI then become like Legion? And what does that mean? Well, what does an AI want? AI tried to destroy humanity. That was the big thing. That's why it's banned. That's why there's so tight, like such tight controls. That's why there's such a fucking religious zealotry around the use of technology. I'm there. I live there. That's my playground. The stories are cool. I love them because they give me these ideas. But it's the gaps. It's always the gaps. It's never. It's never what they deliver. It's where I live within that, and that's Necromunda to me.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. All right, we've been going for an hour and a half now. I think I might need to knock it on the head soon because I think
I hope
my
it's
family
been
want to get to sleep.
of any use to you, bud. It's been nice to talk to
Yeah, it's
you.
been really fun,
That's been
actually.
really
No, it's been
cool,
good.
and I would talk to you again. So, but I'll be in touch and we'll get you on for a war room. We'll find a gang that we haven't done, and we'll get you and pick your brains over.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, no, I'd be really stoked to do that, definitely. So, yeah, and hopefully we can do more like this. But good luck for the weekend, anyway. Looking forward to seeing what you
Yeah.
get
No,
up
we'll
to.
put the place and show people how it's gone. So yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
But thanks for having me and take care.
awesome, nice one. See you, mate.
Peace. I
Oh,
don't know how to get out. Bye.
I don't know either.